They said soft landing in 2007. 14 months later, the economy collapsed. Now they're saying it again. It's happening again. If you're new here, this channel does one thing. It shows you how economic history rhymes. Not perfectly, not on a schedule, but closely enough that if you know the pattern, you can see what's coming long before the headlines catch up. And right now, in 2026, the pattern is loud. Here is where it starts to get uncomfortable. Consumer confidence in the United States just hit its lowest point of the year. Not the lowest since last month, the lowest since the reading that appeared before the last major downturn. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index was just revised down to 53.3. That number might not mean anything on its own. So let me give you the context. Readings below 60 have appeared before every major recession since the 1970s. Every single one, without exception. But here is what should concern you more than the number itself. In past downturns, confidence fell because people felt inflation crushing their purchasing power. That was 2022. That is not what is happening now. What is happening now is something different. People are afraid of losing their jobs. The Michigan survey asks Americans every month, what are the chances you will lose your job in the next 5 years? That reading just hit a level seen in only 3 months across the entire recorded history of the survey. And 2 of those 3 months were during COVID. So we have collapsing consumer confidence, surging job fear, and an economy that still looks fine on paper. And the official voices are calling it a soft landing. Sound familiar? Let's go back to the pattern. Because this is what makes this moment genuinely important to understand. In every major economic contraction of the last 100 years, there is a window, usually 12 to 18 months before the official crisis, where the headline numbers still look broadly okay. But the sentiment data cracks first. People feel it before the economists measure it, and the gap between what people are feeling and what the official story says is exactly where we are sitting right now. Let me show you 3 examples. And I want you to notice something as I do. In September 1929, stock market optimism was at a record high. Newspapers were celebrating American prosperity. Then, on October 17th, Yale economist Irving Fisher, one of the most respected financial minds in the world, told the press that stock prices had reached what looked like a permanently high plateau. Consumer sentiment had already started to crack 3 months earlier. The feeling shifted before the data moved. Irving Fisher said, "Permanently high plateau" on a Thursday. The market began to collapse the following Thursday. This is the part that people always miss. In 2006 and into 2007, housing prices were still rising in some markets, even as mortgage delinquencies began quietly climbing. The official narrative was a soft landing. The consumer confidence surveys had already gone soft. Credit stress was building beneath the surface. By the time the crisis became visible in the headlines, it had been building for over a year. The people calling it a soft landing were not lying. They just weren't looking at the right signals. Or they were, and they were hoping no one else was. And today, in 2026, The Federal Reserve has described the economy as resilient in every official statement this quarter. Treasury officials have called the labor market strong. The phrase soft landing has appeared in mainstream financial media more than 400 times in the last 90 days alone. They are not lying. They believe it. That is exactly what makes this moment worth paying attention to. Because beneath those headlines, three things are moving simultaneously. And this is happening again right now. First, inflation concern and unemployment fear are rising at the same time. Economists call this stagflation risk. The last time both moved up together was the 1970s, the decade that gave us double-digit mortgage rates, breadlines, and a lost generation of middle-class wealth. Second, credit stress is building quietly. Student loan delinquencies just jumped. Credit card stress is elevated. Auto loan defaults are rising. These are not crisis numbers yet, but they were not crisis numbers in 2006 either. They are the early indicators. Third, the households most exposed to any economic downturn are already pulling back their spending. Not because they want to, because they have run out of room. Here is the thing about economic systems that nobody teaches you. They do not snap. They bend, slowly, and then suddenly. The bending has been happening for months. Whether or not the snap comes, that is still an open question. But the pattern is clear, and now you can see it. None of this means a crash is certain. What it means is that the probability-weighted risk is higher than at any point since 2019. So what should you actually be watching right now? 3 signals. Signal 1, the 10-year Treasury yield. If it keeps rising while the Fed is cutting short-term rates, the bond market is telling you it does not believe the soft landing story. Signal 2, credit card delinquency rates. If they move from elevated to rising, the consumer is cracking. Signal 3, consumer sentiment. If it drops below 50, that reading has only been seen 4 times in the last 50 years. These are not predictions. They are the dashboard. And now you know what to look at. Before you go, I want to ask you one question. Does this feel familiar to you personally? Not as economics, as life. Is the job anxiety real where you are? Is the cost of everything still grinding you down, even though the headlines say inflation is improving? Drop the word "again" in the comments below. Just that one word. If this is the kind of video you want more of, not predictions, not panic, just the pattern clearly explained, then subscribe. Because what I am building here is a map. Every video is one more piece of it. In the next video, we are going into the one number that the Federal Reserve watches more closely than any other, and why it is now flashing a warning that most financial media has completely missed. The pattern is running. You're watching it in real time. I'll see you in the next one.